How we doing, everybody? Today I want to talk to you about King Starboard access doors, specifically single panel hinged doors. Really one of the best sellers on our website. I would guess it's in the top 2 or 3 best sellers. We build a lot of them every day, both for individual boat owners as well as many boat builders. One of the first things I want to point out is that you're actually able to give us your dimensions 2 different ways. The first being the overall outside dimensions, and that would be the outside dimension of your frame. Right, and that might be applicable if you're adding a new door and you have some flat fiberglass and you're trying to maximize the space there. But conversely, where you're able to give us the actual hole cutout that your door fits into. So if you're replacing an old ice maker or maybe replacing an old door, we're able to build you a door that fits exactly into the hole cutout. And you can see that kind of here. Your hole cutout runs to the outside of your returns on either side. So it'll be the hole that your door fits into, and then you mount through the flange of your frame. So, the first thing is selecting what you're giving us, outside or hole cutout, and then you can begin to populate your required dimensions. So let's say you measured your hole and your hole was, let's say, 20 inches tall by 15 and 3/8. Now, one of the things to look out here is we do give you the ability to specify your dimensions down to a 1/16 of an inch. One point that sometimes trips people up is we do have 0/16, and that is just 0. So if you needed to put exactly 20 inches, you would just leave it at 0/16. So this is a door, as configured right now, that would fit in a hole cutout that is 20 inches tall by 15 and 3/8 inches wide. Now, what you'll see is as you populate your initial dimensions, up at the very top, we get an important dimensions please review pop-up that shows up. And what that is that's a verification of what you're ordering, and how your door is going to be delivered. So you can see we've specified hole cutout, and the cutout dimensions that are being provided are 20 inches by 15 and 3/8, and the outside dimension is going to be 20 and 3/4 by 17 and 1/8. And the reason for that is that the overlap on either side of your door, your frame overlaps by 7/8 of an inch. 7/8 of an inch times 2, inch and 3/4. So a 20-inch tall hole cutout will come with a 21 and 3/4 inch outside overall frame. It's important to think about, and it's also important as you're looking at a hole to make sure that our doors will work, that you have at least 7/8 of an inch all the way around of flat fiberglass. You're not getting into any radiuses or anything that'll conflict and keep the frame from sitting flush off of your fiberglass. So once you've specified your dimensions, you start getting into some of the other configuration options. The first one being color. We do have 5 different standard color options. White, Arctic white, which is a little bit off-white, seafoam's even more off-white. We've got a gray and a black. And you can view those colors down here. One important thing is that the color that's shown on the website, every monitor is configured different. It's not really a great representation of exactly what the color will look like. It's really used for relative color. Arctic white's darker than white, and so on and so forth. So if you really are critical from a standpoint of the whites having to match in your boat, we do recommend you order a sample chain. We sell those for $10. That includes shipping, so it's $10 delivered. And you'd be surprised how bad 2 different whites on a boat can look if they don't match. So I would recommend getting a sample chain if you're particularly picky about the color. You then have the option to select the hinge orientation, right? So it can hinge on either the height or width dimension, and it's able to hinge, of course, left or right or up or down. You can kind of see those hinge configurations. We've laid them out down here. Here's your height hinging left and your width hinging up. Hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory there. Let's select white, and let's do height hinging right for this one. The next option is your latch. So we have 6 different latch options. We've got a plastic white, a plastic black, and then we have a stainless steel, and all of those are available either non-locking or locking. That's really a preference. The white plastics we've sold for many years. They do have a limited lifetime. They might last you 5 to 7 years before you need to upgrade them. And then the stainless ones, of course, should last the lifetime of your boat, but they are a bit spindier. So we'll go ahead and we'll do a stainless steel non-locking latch. The next option is important, and I want everyone to understand this one because I think every single door that we build should have a bulb seal. We have the option to add this integrated bulb seal, and it's a $25 charge. And the way we do our seals is we actually use a special router bit, and we cut a T-slot into the return on the return of our doors. And the nice thing about that is our seal is not adhesive. It actually has a foot, like a T-foot, that presses into this T-slot so that it can never be peeled off. I think everyone can relate to your fiberglass hatches that the seal eventually peels off and now you don't have any seal. Well, you don't have any of that with ours. It's really durable, really high-end stuff. We've used it for years. And seal does a lot for a door. One of the things that's obvious that I'm sure everyone first comes to mind is, does it make it more waterproof? And we don't build anything waterproof. That's important to say. And it does do some help for keeping water out. But the biggest thing that seal does on a door is the fit, finish, and the lack of any rattle when you're running the boat. If that door isn't super tight, the latch holding it, and you don't have seal, you can get a little bit of a rattle between the door and the returns, whereas that seal eats that up. You don't hear it at all. Plus it feels so much nicer. For a $25 upcharge, to me, almost every door should go out of here with bulb seal. The last thing is vented louvers. Less passionate about that. Really, the point of louvers is increase air circulation, so you get more drying out if it's on the inside of the console. Arguably, if you're cleaning your boat and you spray directly on the louvers, louvers are going to let more water in. So some people like louvers, some people don't like louvers. That's a total personal preference. And louvers, let me see if I can find you a picture in case we're not knowing exactly what we're talking about here. So here's an example of louvers. And not every set of louvers will be done the same way. Some engineers might lay this out with just 3 longer rows instead of these 6 stacked rows. So those are done by our engineers on a per door basis. But the idea of louvers is you have some open airflow there. So that is really the long and short of our single panel hinged starboard access doors. Really a great door, simple, relatively inexpensive. You can see that the price for this one as configured, which has the upgraded stainless steel latch and the bulb seal, prices out at about $250. You can take that cost down probably every bit of $75 or so if you bought it without the seal, with the plastic latch, and without the louvers. We were able to turn these around pretty darn quick. I think our shipping time says 3 to 5 days, but typically we're hitting that 3-day mark. So if you place an order with us, generally 2 to 3 days, you should get a tracking notification. It should be on its way to you. Last thing I want to talk about, these come fully assembled. So you're talking about, from an installation perspective, you get a door that looks just like this, and the extent of what you're doing is 5 or 6 screws around the outside of the frame. So it's very easy to measure a hole in your boat, set your door in, screw it in with 6 to 8 screws, and you're up and running with a brand new door. So if you have any questions, we're always here. Give us a call at boatoutfitters.com.